On top of the waves, the wind just shears the top of them. Yesterday, they were coming in sets of two, just majestic as can be. Right now, they certainly have some muscle to them, and there is a terrifying prospect of what those things can do as they get ever closer to the shore. So as we mentioned, the beach is disappearing as we speak. Let's take a look, if we can, at the radar. And you can see, again, the latest stats that we have on the system. Again, it's chugging its way towards the north. Its appointment with Destiny right along the coast. And as it gets a lot closer, that northeast and northwest quadrant could pack the punch. That's where we're going to see the strong wind coming on shore, too. Let's see. I believe, guys, are we going to send it to Jen back in Tallahassee? Help me out there, guys. Okay. Let's toss. If we can, let's bring in Dr. Greg Postel. Dr. Postel, just calling an audible real fast. In your opinion, when I had someone ask me in the hotel, when it comes to storm surge, when are we going to see that massive shift where it begins to pile in and then it has more of those punishing blows? When do you think we're going to get the brunt of it?
Well, you already are. You're among the highest storm tides you've seen already at Panama City Beach. And that's going to continue to get worse through the late morning hours, right at about landfall, say 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's have a look at the radar and the satellite presentations all together here. I kind of want to show you this because this is something that in my lifetime I've never seen a hurricane this intense, this close to the northern Gulf Coast. I've seen this elsewhere in the world, but right here, this close to the Panhandle, Florida, And we will see damage the likes in this part of the country we haven't seen from a landfalling hurricane. Now, right now, looking at the sampling of the winds across the region, you might be thinking, well, where are those really strong winds? They're coming. Trust me, that's the way these things work. You've covered enough of them, you've been in enough of them, you get it. The weather is bad on these sort of outer rain bands with increasing frequency gusts over 50 and 60 miles per hour. And then more of that. But Reynolds Wolf, the absolute most destructive part of the hurricane, where those winds over 100 miles per hour are in the eye wall. And that is very likely moving north to northeast and probably going to move through the Panama City area where you are, Reynolds, in just a matter of hours. Back to you.
Well, Dr. Postel, I know that when it comes to these tropical systems, you know better than anyone that no two systems are alike. They aren't at all. I'm trying to find a silver lining here. Now, when we had Hurricane Harvey, everyone remembers Harvey, how it basically set up camp near Houston and dumped rain day after day after day. This kind of system, could you say that there is a bit of a silver lining in the idea that it is going to be a quick mover? Does that make a difference?
It makes a lot of difference, but it also makes it hit a lot harder for those inland. Because if they were to sort of slow down and stall out near the coast, it's very bad, of course, in that region. But then the system weakens before it moves too far inland. This particular storm, Michael, is going to carry destructive winds well over hurricane force, probably near 100 miles per hour in even southwest Georgia, maybe Albany, Georgia, areas nearby, perhaps even Cordell, and areas, 50, 75 miles inland or more. We're going to see wherever that remnant eye wall is, Reynolds, right in here. We're going to see wind gusts even late tonight after midnight, well over hurricane force, enough to bring down trees and even do structural damage. You'll have some roofs gone, I think, and all kinds of damage to infrastructure way in interior sections of Georgia. That is the problem with a quickly moving or relatively quickly moving intense hurricane like this. Reynolds.
Unbelievable. One of the big issues that we have, Dr. Postel, is when people think about Florida, they think about the type of trees you have along the coastline. The one that comes to mind quite often is the palm tree, but many of those are transplanted. You go some 15 miles in, and you go from the scrub to those bigger, taller trees that Jen has been talking about up in Tallahassee. Really worried about those. One more thing, America, let me show you something for just a moment. When we show you the images that we have out in the Gulf of Mexico, you see the satellite imagery, you see it, it's spellbinding, but you wonder how it translates along the coast. Let me show you. Come here for a moment. Let's walk out here. Okay, Jacques Starr is the man behind the camera, and Jacques is an experienced surfer. And yesterday we were talking about what we were seeing off the coast, what was rattling on in, and he was saying these were fairly impressive waves. Right now, this is insanity. This is just crazy. And you'll notice with every single wave that comes in, more and the more of the beach begins to disappear. Quite the vanishing act. Now, way off in the distance, lost in the mist, perhaps you could just see a faint outline of the pier. Way off in the distance, beyond the double flags. There you go. What a machine this happens to be. It's fearsome. It's spellbinding. So compelling. There we go. We're seeing one that's rattling right along the baseboards of the pier itself, just disappearing in the pylons and then just off into memory. One after another, just relentless. This beast, which was just a few puffs of clouds way out in the tropics over a week ago, and now it's rumbled its way to our shores. And this is just Act 1, really. We're going to be seeing a bit more of this. Goodness. If we can, Jacques, let's try to bring it over here. And folks, pardon us for a moment. Every now and then you'll see us wiping up the lens, but you understand what's happening here. We see more of the same. Check out some of the waves right there. You got the curl. You see the white water. In fact, almost everything is white water. But then the more compelling thing is off the very top. You see almost these rooster tails of the wind just scouring off the very tip of the wave. Unbelievable. Now, yesterday, if memory serves, we were almost at the water's edge all the way down. That probably was, I want to say, maybe 150, perhaps even 175 yards, nearly 2 football fields off the distance. Clearly, that has changed. Unbelievable. What a seething beast this happens to be. Now, I got to tell you, too, 48 hours ago, this beach was filled with people. It's fall break. We spoke with folks anywhere from Texas to Tennessee, many other locations. We're going to head over in this direction. I mean, you had families, you had all kinds of folks here, and many of them had been planning their vacation, not just for weeks, but in some cases years. But there was another visitor that came to town, and that certainly is Michael. And, of course, everyone hightailed it to the north. We did have the evacuation orders that was put into effect early yesterday morning at 6 a.m. for zones A, B, and C. For those of you tuning in, let's say you're in upstate New York and you hear zone A, B, and C. What are we talking about here? Well, essentially, that translates to the coastline of Bay County. That translates to the spot where we happen to be. So there was the mass exodus yesterday. A lot of people going up, moving out. Gas stations, many places, they were just empty. No fuel whatsoever. People taking off. But the fuel that we have from the tropics, this surging storm, water temperatures, they are jacked. And with that, this has got, again, just a big boost of rocket fuel as it gets ever closer. Right now, we're seeing something else. Some of the water actually coming up and getting right into the sea. So as Dr. Postel mentioned, it's going to keep coming. Quite the invasion, no doubt about it. The big fear that we have is with this water coming in and with that surge, are we going to see it higher? Are we going to see it right over these stands? Are we going to see it over that structure? Over these dunes right in front of us to our present location? Is it possible to get some of that back onto the main roads? Absolutely. Now, later on, we're going to have Jim Cantore come back out in a matter of hours, and I may try to reposition back to the street. So we'll give you both ideas, both parts of the narrative, build a narrative for you of what's happening right along the coastline itself, and then maybe just on the other side of Main Street. A Main Street that at this point, should be very busy with people. Let's make our way back over this. Poor Jacques, I'm just pulling this guy all over the place. This is the building that we were talking about. Now, the way this is designed, you hope it never happens, but you have to know that at some point it might. Water flows in right through the lobby, possibly out in the street. We hope that is not going to be the situation, but that is how this building has been designed. But I have to tell you, Panama City Beach, been popular for generations. You've got a lot of buildings that have been built that have never had that kind of architecture. They may not be ready for what's about to unfold as we roll on forward. But, my goodness. Look at this, Jacques, another thing. If you see the double flags right there telling people to stay out of the water, I don't think anyone's going to be swimming or surfing today. Not a chance. And then something else that's we're kind of worried about, keeping a really sharp eye on. Jacques, can we come over here for just a moment? I am so sorry I'm pulling you all over the place. Look, right over there, the top of these buildings, you see some construction cranes right over there. Can they withstand the strong winds that are about to come? We'll have to see. We will have to see. There's an amusement park on the other side of this row of buildings. At the amusement park, the Ferris wheel, all the carts have been taken down. Smart move, because with this kind of wind, those things turn into from a joyride to kites. Terrifying, and projectiles. Let's bring it back to Jen for just a moment. Jen, I know you've got some new video for us, the story that's happened in the capital city. Let's pitch it right back to you, Jen.
All right, yeah, Reynolds, I want to talk about the preparations that were made yesterday. Today really is the day to just wait inside, wait it out. I know right now we're not in rain, but we're going to get in those bands, and the conditions will really go downhill through the afternoon and early evening here in the capital city of Florida, in Tallahassee. So first, yesterday, it was all about making sure nothing is going to blow around in the wind, right? Making sure trash cans are secured, outdoor furniture is secured. And for a city where there's some construction going on around the Capitol, they had to get a big crane down. And so we were watching this yesterday. We saw the crane up, and we thought, well, that's got to get secured somehow. And they literally took it down and spread it across 2 city blocks. So this is now closing 2 roads right there along Park Avenue and making sure that that crane is at a much safer location than standing up. We are expecting winds that are are going to take down trees across this area. We are expecting power outages here in Tallahassee, throughout much actually of the inland areas of the track of Hurricane Michael as it moves through the Florida Panhandle up into southeastern portions of Alabama and then into Georgia. All right, let's show you some other new video that we're getting in here this morning. Continuing to watch what's happening on the coast, we can take you out to a live look right now at East Point. And this is an area not too far from Apalachicola. You can see obviously the rainy conditions, the dark skies out there. The wind from this vantage point doesn't look strong, but what I'm noticing as I watch the video is the water rise. Yes, the water rise. And I saw some other images from earlier this morning around Rock Landing, Panacea, where the water was coming up. Looked like it was getting into some homes that were right there on the water's edge. Watching the tidal gauges at Apalachicola, and they're already this morning they were at their 5th highest point. The storm surge's 5th highest on record so far, and we know that we're getting towards a high tide this afternoon. Unfortunately, at the worst timing, as we get a landfall, we will be approaching high tide. Let's go out to St. George Island, where they have had wind gusts as high as 60 miles per hour already this morning. This is a live look right now. Again, you can just see how dark and ominous the skies look out here. I want to share a story about St. George Island. Here in Tallahassee, this is a spot where a lot of people are coming to evacuate from the coastal areas that are vulnerable. And so I met a great group of women yesterday. They were on a girls trip, long weekend into a week down here at St. George Island, and one of them, the homeowner, told me the story about how they knew they had to go. And this was yesterday before it was a Cat 4, right? But they saw the look of this hurricane. They knew they had to go and leave the island. And this was Ann Pond was her name, and she got very emotional talking about leaving behind her home, knowing the destruction that Michael could bring. And look, knowing that we know with a storm surge of 13 feet, St. George Island could be completely covered. I mean, and that is such a beautiful area, the Forgotten Coast, as it's called right there, and certainly just a stunning sight. Now we've got a hurricane coming in to potentially cause massive destruction. All right. We're continuing to bring you out live scenes here to the coast. You can see how big these waves are coming up almost to the height of the pier. Let's go back out to Reynolds and Panama City Beach for more. Reynolds.
Jen, no one knows the Gulf Coast better than you do, Florida's Gulf Coast. And I can tell you right now, those waves are actually hitting the bottom of the pier as we speak. They've certainly come up. We're not the only place being affected. In fact, over in Apalachicola, we now have word that water has already come up so high to the fact that there are cars that are now submerged. We're going to have Chris Warren along, hopefully within the next hour or so, to give us the very latest of what's happening there. Full team assembled, ladies and gentlemen, behind the scenes and in front of the camera and everywhere in between. We're going to keep you up to speed with Michael as we roll on forward. Right now, we've got the rollicking waves and the wind, which continues to pick on up. And the trees continue to sway. More coverage following these messages. We'll see you on the other side.
If your mouth is made to amaze, let Philips Sonicare give its care a raise. If your teeth chew beyond their limit, then they've earned 62,000 movements a minute. If your mouth's used to a manual clean, treat it to microbubbles that feel great in between. If your amazing mouth does more than its share, give it Philips Sonicare. Next level clean, next level care. There's always a way to make life better. Philips Sonicare.
Are we there yet?
You don't always use your smartphone for directions.
Okay, guys, up there.
Or to laugh out loud.
You're in the middle. Yeah.
But when it matters most, you count on TracFone to keep you connected for less. Our smartphone plan gives you talk, text, and data with unlimited carryover starting at $15 a month. No contract. All with nationwide 4G LTE coverage. Get top smartphones or bring your own phone. TracFone for moments that matter.
Oats seem pretty simple, right? They're actually kind of extraordinary. See, oats contain a soluble fiber called beta-glucan. Beta what? Stay with me here. This is where it gets interesting. This fiber really doesn't like cholesterol, so it traps some of the bad cholesterol and shows it a thing or two. Making Quaker Oats a delicious part of a heart-healthy diet. High five, fiber.
What if you didn't have to pay a premium to get a premium paint? At the Home Depot, you not only get the highest quality paint in America at the lowest price, you also get a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Mix that with more choices and more know-how, and you get more confidence to start painting. You can find a higher price, but you can't find a better paint. Guaranteed. Now get Behr Premium Plus starting at...
Need to get your car fixed? Beards. Need brakes? Beards. Need an oil change? Beards. Car making a funny noise? Beards. If you need car service, you need to call Beards Garage. Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, Beards. Honda, Toyota, Nissan, Beards. Not these beards, these Beards. Service with a smile since 1989, Beards Garage. Serving North Palm Beach to Jupiter, Beards.
David J. Scranton, Amazon bestselling author, money manager, and national TV host, is on a mission to educate baby boomers about the need to shift from growth to income. If you're at or near retirement, focusing on income over growth can make all the difference in the quality of your retirement. Each week, David educates America on his Newsmax TV show, The Income Generation, where he provides special reports and more to teach baby boomers about the income model.
Call now for a free copy of David's latest book. Go to soundincomestrategies.com/income to find out more.
Visit Credible.com before your next payment is due.
Every season, every storm, every time you watch, trust in the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Today, thunderstorms likely. High 91. Chance of rain 80%. Tonight, some clouds. Low 78. Winds south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Thursday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. High 90. Chance of rain 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
You are not going to survive 12 feet, 13 feet of storm surge. You're not going to survive it. If you're in a one-story house and the storm surge is there, I don't know how you're going to survive that. So, but right now, what you've got to do, you've got to hunker down. Do not get out, and we'll do everything we can once this thing passes. But.
And those are the wise words of Florida Governor Rick Scott. Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Reynolds. Welcome to you from Panama City Beach, Florida. I had the honor of flying with Governor Scott last year during Hurricane Irma over parts of Jacksonville that have been flooded. But right now, the story that we have, more of the waves coming in and potential flooding. Look at this video that we have for you. This is over towards Destin. And you know what? We're seeing this rhythmic pattern up and down the coastline, from that position to this one down to Apalachicola. But that is only one part of the story. The story does not begin or end on the coastline. It is going to continue for quite a while for many people even farther inland. Again, folks, welcome back. The story is all about Hurricane Michael, a major hurricane which continues to make its way inexorably towards our coastline. You can see the rain falling top to bottom on your screen at home. It seems as though it's never going to end. At times it has been incredibly intense. Sometimes it comes in sideways, but now it's a steady downpour. Let's make our way back over here for just a moment. The view that we have, you see the waves coming in, and then off in the distance of the horizon, you've got the marriage of water and sky, and it just melts together. Unbelievable. At this point now, you can look over towards the pier, and part of it actually disappears when it goes off towards the horizon. Now let's bring in Scott Peak. He's a storm tracker here, sharing the same area with me. He's in Panama City Beach. Scott, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
If you could you please tell us the story of what you've been seeing since you've been out and about around the city this morning?
Absolutely. Well, we came into town about 4 o'clock, and we noticed people were still evacuating as we were going south in Panama City Beach. And as we were going south, we noticed that the conditions were starting to deteriorate slowly as we went on through the morning hours. and to what we have now, the conditions have completely deteriorated at our location right along the beach here at the a garage that we are sitting at.
Now, I know it's very early, Scott, but in terms of damage, we've already heard about cars being submerged in places like Apalachicola. Have you seen any structural damage yet at this time from all the wind?
No, we have seen some pieces of boardwalk that were dismantled and stacked up onto the beach that have actually gone into the ocean and floated down ways and come back onto the beach itself. But not any kind of damage as of yet. I am noticing bits of debris from whatever flying around as we get stronger gusts. But right now, we don't have any kind of damage that I can see.
Yeah, see, that's one part of the story that I think a lot of us don't think about at this point, that once the winds do die down, we've got the debris, the wreckage everywhere, so trying to get back out and move from position to position is going to be almost impossible. Guys, why don't you hang out here for just a little bit? I'm going to go down here by the water's edge for just a moment. Jacques Starr's the man behind the camera. Jacques, stay. That's a good spot, dude. I'm going to step down here. Again, thanks so much to Mr. Peak. All right, gang, I want you to look at this. I promise you, there was a time when we were out here about 48 hours ago, this beach was covered with umbrellas. It was kind of a celebratory mood. You had people here on their fall break from many states. We've had people from Ohio, from Texas, from Tennessee, from all over. And that is certainly a vacation that was cut short, obviously, because what is coming in for the time being. They moved out, this comes in. I will not be able to stand in this spot as we roll forward over the next, I'd say, hour or two, because we're going to see more of this come on in. But it is an unbelievable change. I've been doing this for 25 years. And what I'm seeing here, it's always mind-numbing. It's humbling to see the power of Mother Nature when she flexes her muscles and can unleash just such fury. Amazing. Now, if you've been following the story over the last several days and weeks, you'll remember that at one point Matthew was nothing. It was just a cluster of clouds out in the tropics, but it rolled and billed, and now it is an atmospheric buzzsaw that is bound for our shorelines. It's not something that any of us asked for, but sure enough, it's not the fight of our choosing, but it is certainly going to be coming on in. Look at this. Just one after another, just a continuous mesmerizing cascade that just roars its way onto the shorelines. Now, the problem that we have from where we happen to be, let's bring in Jen for just a moment. Jen, I understand that right now you're starting to get some of the heavy rainfall in Tallahassee. I'm sure there's quite a bit of fear, Jen, with that soil getting soaked, those heavy trees, the strong winds. That could be a pretty bad combination.
Yeah, power outages are the main concern here, but it's not just trees coming down and causing power outages, Reynolds. Another big concern is trees coming down and causing significant damage on vehicles, on homes, and so that's why people are really urged to take this seriously. You know, hunker down, and when we get in the worst of the winds, will be later this afternoon, we are certainly asking people to stay into their safe place, their shelter for the duration of the storm. This is not going to be the kind of event where you can go out in. And even right now, because we are literally miles away here in downtown Tallahassee from getting into that outer band, so the rain is really going to pick up, the visibility is going to go down, the wind is going to start to get very gusty as well. We've seen those wind gusts farther south here as high as 60 miles per hour earlier today on St. George Island. They were up into the 50s around Apalachicola. Let's show you a live look around Indian Pass right now, and we can show you that water rise that we are continuing to be concerned about. You know, watching some of the scenes from this area, the water's coming up, it's overtaking boat ramps in the area. And by the way, this is all happening at a time when the tide is going out. We are heading towards a high tide by this afternoon at the worst case timing. We've got the landfall of a historic storm at the time of high tide that is going to cause mass destruction. We will have continuing coverage right here on the Weather Channel.
Your brain is an amazing thing, but as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Hey guys, today we're here to talk about trucks.
I love trucks.
What the heck is that? Well, what truck brand comes from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road?
I think it's a Chevy.
Ford. Is it Ford? Nope, it's not Ford.
I think it's Ram.
Is it Ram? Not Ram.
That's
Chevy.
That's right. From the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road.
Gorgeous. Chevy hit it out of the ballpark with these.
Dun, dun, dun. Come make a whisk and make them bounce. Pride on your lips, come make that sound. Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. You gotta work it, work it, work it, work it, work it.
Ready to Juvederm it? Correct age-related volume loss in cheeks with Juvederm Voluma XC. Add fullness to lips with Juvederm Ultra XC. And smooth moderate to severe lines around the nose and mouth with Juvederm XC. Tell your doctor if you have a history of scarring or are taking medicines that decrease the body's immune response or that can prolong bleeding. Common side effects include injection site redness, swelling, pain, tenderness, firmness, lumps, bumps, bruising, discoloration, or itching. As with all fillers, there is a rare risk of unintentional injection into a blood vessel, which can cause vision abnormalities, blindness, stroke, temporary scabs, or scarring. Juvederm it. Talk to your doctor about the Juvederm collection of fillers.
The fact is, there are over 9,600 roads named Park in the U.S. It's America's most popular street name, but all state agents know that's where the similarity stops. If you're on Park Street in Reno, Nevada, the high winds of the Washoe Zephyr could damage your sighting. And that's very different than living on Park Avenue in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, where ice dams could cause water damage. But no matter what park you live on, one of 10,000 local Allstate agents knows yours. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
This time, it's his turn. You have 4.3 minutes to yourself. This calls for a taste of cheesecake. Philadelphia Cheesecake Cups. Rich, creamy cheesecake with real strawberries. Find them with the refrigerated desserts.
There's a story out there. It's your financial story. Bankers and lenders are seeing it. Make sure you see it too. Get your free Experian financial profile only at Experian.com/profile.
Hello, America. Welcome back to continued coverage of Hurricane Michael. I'm meteorologist Reynolds Wolf. You're taking a live view, right now of Panama City Beach. This is from one of our storm trackers, Charles Peak, and you see just the madness. What a day. What a morning it has been. What a day it will be. And what an event this happens to be. Just terrifying. It truly is. If we can come back to me for just a mere moment, giving you an update on where this happens to be. Michael is roughly 65 miles southwest of Panama City Beach, which means if I walk over in this direction and we walk over towards the pier,